Here we are again, this time again with Alex from Scale Swimming.
Look, happy Friday, Marcus.
Happy Friday to you too.
Hot and bothered. I've just finished my set in the Pool of Dreams.
Oh, I love that.
And I've got changed and jumped straight on this call to you. How exciting is that?
Nice. I like the scenery. I mean, the view for me, it's amazing when I see this nice pool in the background. Here it's really just my Tesla where you see that view, so it's okay. Today you had some really good topics which you thought about, and it's mainly about the freestyle swimming technique and some pitfalls. So I want to hand it over to you and some sort of you guide through this call. Let's talk swimming.
What I wanted to say is it's Alex and Markus's, or Scale Swimming and Markus's top 5 front crawl freestyle fixes, things that we see that are commonly done incorrectly, simple things that can be just addressed, and it'll make everyone a damn sight faster through the pool or through the water, indoor, outdoor, wherever.
Yeah, fire away.
All right, number 1, lack of hand glide or low distance per stroke.
So usually what I say is with my height, which I'm not very tall, I'm 177, that someone who is as tall, what is the difference between him and me swimming faster or gliding through the water? And it all comes down to the DPS, like distance per stroke, which is most of the people do have not even a meter, whereas compared to me per stroke I do 1 meter 80 centimeters. And this has simply to do with the length of my stroke. And then when people then realize when I say this, they usually realize, oh wow, you do per stroke about a meter more, or you push a meter, you propel yourself a meter further ahead than I do. And this is usually this realization which they have. And
people that are new to swimming or aren't from a swimming background, as soon as your hand enters, naturally your brain will be like, well, I need to pull.
Yeah.
But you just got to, and we say this nearly every call, you have to slow down to speed up. So obviously this is going to be different for depending on what distance you're swimming, right? If you're sprinting, then you're not going to have a very high distance per stroke, but you still have a little bit. But for, a lot of distance master swimmers or triathletes that are going to be swimming 400, 750 or even further, depends on what event that you're taking part in, you need to glide forward. And you need to practice and back yourself to hold that glide, because that setup of that pulling the catch is the most, there's so many important phases, but the way that I kind of think and sometimes explain it to people is that if you're in a car and you put your foot down on the accelerator as hard as you can, your wheel spin and you won't go anywhere. But if you gently push down that accelerator, you're going to get much better traction and you're going to be able to move forward quicker. And it's a similar kind of thing. If you pull straight away without that glide, without that setup and using this massive paddle, your hand and your forearm, you're not going to go anywhere. So
I agree with you.
Patient.
I agree with you. And as I said on that part, why do people do that? It's mostly because the brain tells them one arm is above the water and comes to the bottom in the recovery, and so their body tells them, oh, I'm sinking. So there is a counter action, and their body tells them, listen, you need to start your stroke. And that is actually the problem ultimately. You need to trick your mind or your body or the natural body instincts that you say, no, that is okay if that is above the water and I can just glide through the water and keep it up there, which this is more stable, and I prepare for that. Because you also get faster, ergo you lie flatter in the water and you actually you propel yourself forward. I think that is it.
Exactly. Yeah. And to fix, the thing is to fix your old routine and habit, just do some drills. We always talk about doing drills. So even one of the most old school, basic and simple drills of a catch-up drill.
Yeah.
Just to practice, and you can then do single arm, a whole range of drills, but you've got to just slow your brain down. And it's funny when I watch swimmers that try to do this for the first time, to slow their stroke rate down, to get more of a glide and more distance per stroke. Their other arms come over and they can't quite work out how to do it. It takes time, perseverance and practice, but you'll get there.
Exactly. I like that point. Number two.
Number two, we're going straight in there, Marcus. Dropped elbow or lack of high elbow catch.
Good one. I love it. The high elbow catch for me is, I'm an advocate for it, and I've sent many calls. I just yesterday had some recordings with someone else, with Abby Fish, and we talked about it as well. The high elbow ultimately is that one thing where you early get access to the water, and lots of people, and this is mainly because of the strength which is not there, like the muscles is not there, because it's hard to do a high elbow catch, to leave it out there. You need to have certain flexibility, but there is also the rotation of your body needs to be in line. But a lot of people then let their arm drop and just pull back, and instead of leaving it up there and let the hand come and then only push down, and they are usually connected with, how do you get out of the water? I've never seen someone get out of the water like this. I usually see people, so they grab the water and then push themselves out. And this is usually how I get it, or how I explain it, and how I also teach them to change it ultimately.
Yeah, and like, again, it's all habit. So when people are, and I should actually emphasize, when we're talking about high elbow catch, if someone straight away hears high elbow, they might think about over-the-top recovery. This is not what we're talking about. We're not talking about over-the-top recovery, high elbow. We're talking about the pull underneath the surface of the water. Okay, so I thought we'd just reiterate that. Here we're talking about the actual pull under the water and not dropping your elbow. And it's actually, keeping a high elbow is hard.
It is.
It takes a lot of time, and this links into number third, or the next point, which I'll go into in a second. But the third point is the lack of the rotation along that central axis. If you're not rotating along that central axis, it's actually really hard to get that high elbow, and that's why it's easier if you're ploughing straight through the water to drop that elbow, and you still think that you're doing a pull, but you're not actually getting much purchase on the water, so you can't ever go fast by having a dropped elbow. Exactly.
I mean, usual controversy is the straight on catch, and from a sprinter style technique towards the longer distance, like 200 meter upwards technique, where it's really in a high elbow catch, where you early get access to the water. And don't compare these two, because they are two different techniques, but both of them have usually the hand behind. In the straight on catch, maybe slightly a bit less, but both of the important thing is that the hand is behind the elbow at some point, and you can push through. And what in the head, when you drop your elbow, happens is that the hand is before, like in front of your elbow, and then you pull through like some sort of this way, and this is usually the thing there. Again, how to solve it: rubber bands, dry land exercise, keep it in front and imitate the movement, and ultimately also get out of the water, try to see how it looks like. I mean, try to get out of the water like this and turn around. And obviously then, as you said before in the other point, that translates into doing the drills in the way that you emphasize this high elbow catch and properly rotate, which brings you to the third point, I guess.
What a segue. That was like seamless, smooth. Oh, so number 3, yes, no rotation along the central axis, the imaginary central axis of the body. And we're giving people a bonus one of over crossing that imaginary central axis with their hand.
Yeah.
But we'll start with the first one. The problem that I see for a lot of people, and it's linked to the lack of the glide, the lack of the distance to stroke. People stay very flat through the water, and they've got all this resistance, this frontal resistance, and they just try to power through the water with no rotation whatsoever. Lots of stress and pressure on the shoulders. But if you start to rotate along this central axis, it's much easier to get the distance per stroke, much easier to get the proper high elbow catch, and reduces the stress on the poor old shoulders. Talk to me.
Exactly. I mean, I don't have too much to say. The only thing is the difference. You have the body rotation, and then the shoulder rotation shouldn't be forgotten either. So the body rotation is usually around the long X, and the shoulder rotation is properly let the shoulder move with the arm rotation to the front, that you can catch frontwards, like reaching something from a top shelf, get it out of it, and then start the high elbow catch and push back, and at the same time you also push back the shoulder, and then you have a counterweight that you also do this. So this is the shoulder rotation, and this is the body rotation. And with the two, you will eliminate the stress on your shoulders, on the backside, and so, which then commonly is said that, oh, you know, because if I do this high elbow catch, I will have problems with my shoulders. If you do the body rotation, the shoulder rotation properly, you will solve that issue immediately. So that is the thing which I would add to it.
The bonus number 4 was entering, but then coming across your body. People cross that central axis far too much, and then you're wasting that much pull every stroke, multiplied by the number of strokes done per length or per distance or whatever. So yeah, don't cross that imaginary central axis. Come forward and drive straight forward.
The overcrossing is usually, how I explain, is usually a counteraction of something which you did on the arm stroke wrongly. You know, if your arm is too far out, then you just swing it flat over the water, like if you would do fly, and the other arm is there. You enter there, and then you need to overcross, and it gets some sort of snailing through the water.
You start to, that's it. Yeah,
exactly. But again, as you said, with proper body rotation and shoulder rotation, you can actually solve it already. That doesn't happen. Because also, if you want to decide whether you have a high elbow recovery or a straight arm recovery, try to not have it too flat, and so try to imagine if that one is too low here, you won't be able to do a proper rotation, so you need to kind of move it over. So if that rotation on the shoulder doesn't really come, then you start to overshoot anyway, or you go too far left and too far right, so it's too far on that side. Usually that is the issue. Again, to solve it, a proper body rotation helps a lot with it, I think.
Perfect. Now, this is another seamless link. It is like we've prepared. It's like we've planned, which is very important for training, which we're going to talk about later. But number 5, our final point, is if you start to do this rotation, you're going to have to be careful to keep and maintain the balance. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have a really good kick. And the problem that we see is a lot of people have a lack of ankle flexibility.
Yeah. That's a good point. How do you avoid it? I mean, when you're older, it might be hard. When you're a runner, when you're a cyclist, and you come from that side of the sport, or you're starting out, it might be not that easy to create this ankle flexibility. You will need to do some stretching and so to get it, but your ligaments will be shorter. But to actually have a feel of how it should be, I then use always the fins and let the fins help to not short fins, long fins, help to realize what the feet need to look like, or the ankle needs to look like.
So just to visualize, what I see quite often is people will kick like this with hardly any ankle flexibility, but then their kick crosses. Their kick is wide as well, so their legs are basically flailing everywhere. And what they want to keep their feet, almost their knees, fairly close together. And there has got to be a lovely, nice flop in the ankle. So the width goes all the way from, or pretty much the core, definitely from the hips, through the rest of the body. And it's a constant, nice little trickle, which then helps you maintain your balance as you're rotating and whizzing through the water.
Good, nicely pointed out. But these are the things, the focus points to have.
Alex of Scale Swimming and Markus' top 5 frontcourt freestyle fixes or things that we see that are wrong. Number 1, there's lack of hand glide, lack of distance per stroke. Number 2 is the dropped elbow or lack of high elbow catch. Number 3, there is no rotation along this central axis of the body. And our bonus is that people put their arms over that central axis. And number 5, there's poor ankle flexibility. We don't want that poor ankle flexibility. There we go. Boom.
Let's conclude with this. if you have questions to that, if you want to know more about it, put it in the comment section. Tell us, ask us. We are on Instagram, Scale Swimming. We are on YouTube. Comment, like, share, follow us, and give us some love in that sense. As I said, if you have questions to us, put it out. We try to tackle it in one of our calls and make it better. Thanks, Alex, and have another call soon.
Been a pleasure, mate. See you next time.
See you.